with young kids, I can't imagine that, how painful that must have been. They came to Community House of Hope, and Desta is here to tell the story of how Community House of Hope helped her friend and their family. Please give a warm welcome to Desta.
Hello. Last year, my husband and I were invited to this dinner, and we came not knowing what Community House of Hope was or even the name of the fundraiser that we were attending. And we came with some people from church. Jerry and Margaret Miller invited us, and they're right here, so thank you. When we left last year, we were driving home, and I said to Eric, we have to buy a whole table next year because we have to tell other people in our life about this house. And so we drove home, and I didn't know that my friend Stacy, wherever she is, was the president of the board either. So then I reached out to her and I said, Stacy, this place is amazing. I can't believe the stories that I've heard. I can't believe what this does. I can't believe it's right here in Thousand Oaks. And then a few months later, she had an open house at the house, and she invited me. So I went one night. I was really tired after a long day of work, and I had to leave and didn't get to put the kids to bed. But I drove up to this house that you're hearing about, and I went in, and I saw this place, and I met the volunteers, and I met Anne, and we sat there, and we had dessert, and we just kind of simmered in there all together for a little while. I drive by that house every day. I drop my kids off at school, and then I drive by on my way to work. I work at California Lutheran University, and our church, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, is right there on the corner. So I didn't even realize every day I passed by this church. So after I went there, then every time I drive by, I just kind of feel like I connect to it. So backwards, my friend Sharyl, she's this beautiful, oh, there she is. Our friend Sharyl. When I was a new mom at church, there was this woman, Sharyl, and she would gather all of us in her home, other mothers with our kids, and we would go there every Friday. Every Friday she greeted us. She'd made some amazing baked good that the rest of us could never try or attempt to. We would talk about parenting. We'd pray for each other and our families. We read parenting books. We did Bible studies. It was the reason and the thing that shaped me and so many of us as mothers. And Sharyl created that space for us. She gathered us. Last February, she was diagnosed with metastasized melanoma. And we kind of knew when we heard it, some of us knew more than others, this probably isn't really good. But she did lots of amazing things the past year. And at the end of January, her husband called me, and he said, we're going to the ER. It's Friday night. She's not doing well. She's slurring her language. This isn't going well. And I said to my husband, after we got off the phone, I said, she's dying, isn't she? And he said, she's been dying for a year. But that's when I realized, okay, I think this is really happening. And her husband called the next morning, and he said, we're at the hospital. I need you to come. We need to pray over her. And so my husband and I left very quickly after that, and we walked in the door, and Daryl said, they just told me that she has to go on hospice. So we all kind of huddled there and had some words, and he said, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should have her stay here. I don't feel like taking her home is the right thing for the boys. They have 2 boys, 14 and 16. And I said, Daryl, let me tell you about this house that I know about. And I told him. And then he went and he met with the hospice workers, and we went up and we were with Sharyl. And then he came back up and he said, the hospice workers told me about this place called Community House of Hope. And I said, Daryl, that's the same place that I told you about. And he said, I can't believe this. And he said, do you think you can get us in there? And I said, well, I don't know, but let me call, there's Stacy. Let me call Stacy. So a couple things. It was on a weekend, and they can't do intake on the weekends, but we got to go there. So Daryl, her husband, and her father, Marno, and I went to the house on Sunday. So they got to just look at it and feel it and just see. And they said, this feels so good. And so on Monday morning, her dad and I helped move her with the help of medical assistants to this house. So this house, now for me, it's a sacred place. I saw this family come, and it's where her boys saw her and got to say goodbye to her. They could sit in this living room. I was sitting there with them, and they one at a time went in and had this very sacred, tender time with her saying goodbye. And while the rest of us were in the living room, and I saw the staff and the volunteers loving on her and loving on her dad and her boys and her husband. I saw the volunteers coming in and making food. They brought pies. Somebody came in. I said, yes, she cared about her body. She would love a massage, so they brought massage. So this house supported this family being able to still do their life. The boys still went to soccer. They went to school, and then they would come and they'd see their mom. And they got to go home to their own house that she created, their beautiful home with so much love. And they got to go home there and still feel her presence in that place, not experience her dying in that place. And I know for this family, that was a huge gift. And she just died a month ago. And now when I drive by the house, I look and I see what cars are there. Are there cars? Are there a lot of cars? And I just pray for that place, and I just send it energy, because you would never know what a sacred and holy place that is. But I just think about the difference, about what it was like when I was with her in the hospital, and the experience that her family and her friends had of being in this home with all this love and all this support. The books on the bookshelf are filled with books for every age of grief and dying. And when her dad and her brother and her husband all talked about her after she died, the words that they're using are words that are straight out of these books that are on the bookshelves in the house and from the volunteers that surrounded them. So this year, remember what I said last year? Eric, we got to get a table next year. This year, there's 2 tables here of people that love Sharyl and her family. So will you just raise your hands? Yeah. So I just want to say thank you. I had no idea, being here a year ago, what would happen in the next year. And I just feel like our Community House of Hope is such a gift. And I just hope that you hear that. It's a place filled with love, and it is sacred. Thank you.